The void of deep space had always belonged to the Yil-Rathi Dominion. For 300 cycles, their word was law among the 47 systems of the Spiral Arm. Their armada, the Obsidian Fleet, was considered unkillable. No species had ever fought them to a standstill. No weapon had ever pierced their quantum-layered shields. They were the masters of the dark between stars. That belief ended on a standard cycle day. At 14:20 to Fleet Standard Time. High Admiral Vosk, a creature of chitin and cold-blooded logic, stood on the command bridge of the indomitable Wrath, the fleet's flagship. His four red eyes stared at the holographic display, showing the approach to the Perseus Vela Nebula of ionized gas that had always been a natural barrier. No ship could hide inside it. The radiation-scrambled sensors and melted standard hulls confirmed the scout report. Voss clicked his mandibles. The so-called human signal came from inside the veil. Lieutenant Kaveth, his sensor officer, trembled. Yes, High Admiral. It was brief. A single energy flare. Then nothing. But the pattern was not natural. It matched an Alcubierre deceleration signature. A ripple of unease passed through the bridge. Humans, the Dominion had heard rumors of this species from the fringe traders. A mammalian race from a small, watery planet called Earth. They were not part of the Dominion. They refused all offers of protection, and they had just done something impossible, exiting faster than light travel inside a radioactive nebula that should have turned their ship to slag. Impossible. Voss hissed. No species is that stupid. Prepare the fleet for battle formation. If a single human vessel thinks it can challenge the Obsidian Fleet, we will erase it from history. The fleet moved. 50 capital ships, 200 support frigates, over 3,000 fighter drones. It was a wall of black metal and plasma cannons stretching across 10 million kilometers of space. They had crushed the hive of Xylos with this formation. They had burned the crystal worlds of the Quell. One human ship would be a minor note in their victory logs. The human ship emerged at 14:7. It did not come out of the veil in a dramatic flash. It simply appeared. One moment, there was only the purple haze of the nebula. The next, a shape was there, long, angular, made of a dull gray metal that seemed to drink the starlight. It was smaller than a Dominion destroyer, barely 200 meters from bow to stern. No visible weapon ports, no energy signatures. It looked like a broken shard of a moon. Vosk's main eyes narrowed. That's it. That's the warship that caused the alarm. It looks like a transport vessel with delusions. The fleet's tactical computer designated the ship. UN's last argument. Human registry. Unknown class. Threat level. Negligible. Hail them, Vosk ordered, more out of curiosity than caution. Let us hear their final words. The communication channel opened with a crackle of static. Then a human voice spoke. It was calm, female, almost bored. This is Captain Aelina Vance of the United Nations Space Command. You have entered restricted space. The Perseus Veil and the systems beyond are under human protection. You will turn your fleet around and return to Dominion territory. You have 60 seconds to comply. Vosk actually laughed. A wet, rattling sound that echoed across the bridge of the indomitable Wrath. Protection. You have one ship. We have a fleet. You are either very brave or very insane. 58 seconds, the human voice replied. Launch the first wave of drones, Vosk said, dismissing the threat. Scout their capabilities. Do not destroy them yet. I want to record their fear first. 300 fighter drones screamed forward, their ion engines leaving trails of blue light. They were fast, agile, each one carrying enough plasma explosive to crack a small moon. They swarmed toward the last argument like angry hornets. The human ship did nothing. It just sat there. At 50 meters from impact, something changed. The space around the last argument shimmered. It wasn't a shield. It was a hole. A perfectly circular tear in reality, as if someone had cut a circle out of the universe. The first 100 drones flew straight into that hole and vanished. No explosion, no debris. They simply ceased to exist. The rest of the drones tried to pull away, but the tear had gravity now. It pulled them in, spinning them like leaves in a drain. Within 3 seconds, all 300 drones were gone. Vosk's lower mandible dropped open. What in the name of the dark void was that? Energy signature unknown, Kaveth stammered. It's not a weapon, it's a spatial anomaly. They created a miniature black hole event horizon, but without the mass. It's like they opened a door to nowhere. Captain Vance's voice returned. 30 seconds. Your drones are gone. Your ships are still in my way. I suggest you start running. Vosk felt something he had not felt in 200 cycles fear. But he was a High Admiral. He did not run. All capital ships, primary cannons. Concentrated fire. Annihilate that ship. 50 beams of antimatter energy lanced out from the Dominion fleet. Each beam was capable of vaporizing a continent. Together, they delivered enough power to destroy a small star. The beams crossed the void in less than a second and struck the last argument, or rather, they struck the last argument's new defense. The human ship's hull didn't melt. Instead, it rippled. The antimatter beams hit the gray metal and were absorbed. Not reflected. Not blocked. Absorbed. The ship's hull glowed brighter and brighter white, then gold, then a deep, angry red. And then it released everything back. 50 beams of antimatter energy, amplified by a factor of 10, shot back toward the Dominion fleet. But they did not return along the same paths. They split, multiplied, and curved. Each human-released beam found a Dominion ship. The Indomitable Wrath took 3 hits. The heavy cruiser Silent Death took 4. Frigates were simply erased. Vosk's bridge went dark as emergency systems kicked in. The holographic display flickered back to life, showing chaos. 15 of his capital ships were gone. 90 frigates were drifting wreckage. The rest were scrambling, firing blindly, panicking. How? Vosk roared, grabbing Kaveth by the throat. How did they do that? It's the whole material, Kaveth gasped. It's not metal, it's a phased array of quantum dots. They turned their entire ship into a lens. They absorbed our energy, tuned it, and sent it back. We didn't just shoot ourselves. We shot ourselves with 10 times the power. Captain Vance's voice came through again, still calm. That was your only warning shot. The last argument is equipped with a single primary weapon. I have not used it yet. You have 10 seconds to surrender or flee. Choose. Vosk looked at his remaining ships. 35 capital ships, many damaged. 110 frigates, most with failing shields. Against one human ship that had not even shown its main weapon. Retreat, he whispered. Then, louder, retreat. ALL ships, jump to FTL. Now. The Dominion fleet turned and ran. Engines flared. Space twisted as they tried to escape. But the last argument was not done. Captain Vance watched her tactical display. She had given them a chance. They had not listened. And now they were running not with order, but with animal terror. That was not acceptable. Double quotes, Mr. Chen, she said to her chief weapons officer. Target their FTL drives. Disable, do not destroy. I want them to have to crawl home. Chen, a thin man with tired eyes, nodded. Yes, Captain. Disabling FTL drives. Firing the needle gun. The last argument's primary weapon was not a cannon. It was a railgun the size of the ship's spine, firing projectiles the size of a human thumb. But each projectile was made of compressed neutronium wrapped in a stasis field. They moved at 99.9% of the speed of light. And they were designed to phase through shields, through armor, and detonate inside a ship's FTL core. Chen pressed a button. The last argument shuddered once. Across the fleeing Dominion fleet, 37 FTL cores detonated simultaneously. Not the ships, just the cores. Explosions ripped through engineering sections. Power failed. Drives went dark. The surviving Dominion ships, 20 capital ships, and 80 frigates were suddenly adrift in the void, their faster-than-light travel gone. Vosk watched his ship's status board in disbelief. The Indomitable Wrath had power. It had weapons. It had life support. But it could not jump. It was trapped. Captain Vance's final transmission came through. Your fleet is now traveling at sublight speeds. The nearest Dominion system is 300 light-years away. At your maximum sublight velocity, that journey will take you approximately 4,000 years. I am not going to kill you. I am going to let you think about your choices for the next 4 millennia. This is human mercy. Do not mistake it for weakness. The transmission ended. The last argument turned slowly, its gray hull still glowing faintly from the absorbed energy. Then it slid back into the Perseus Veil. The nebula's radiation closed around it. And the human ship vanished as if it had never been, on the crippled Indomitable Wrath. High Admiral Vosk stared at the empty space where the human ship had been. His 4 eyes could not blink. His mind could not process a single ship. No visible crew beyond the captain's voice. Weapons that broke every law of physics. And mercy that felt more terrifying than any execution. Lieutenant, Vost said, his voice a dry rasp. Send a message to the Dominion Council. On continuous loop. Low power. It will take years to reach them, but they must know. Kaveth nodded. What should I say, High Admiral? Vosk looked at the holographic display, showing the wreckage of his proud fleet. Say this, the humans are not a species to be conquered. They are a warning. Do not enter the Perseus Veil. Do not approach human space. Do not make them angry. Because the last argument is not their only ship. It is just the one they sent to say no. He paused, and tell them. The next one might not offer mercy. 3 weeks later, on a human space station hidden inside the Perseus Veil, Captain Elena Vance walked into a debriefing room. Admiral Grace Okonkwo, an elderly woman with sharp eyes and a softer heart, sat at the head of a long table. Report, Admiral Okonkwo said. The Dominion fleet has been neutralized, Vance said, sitting down. FTL drives destroyed. They are coasting at sublight. By the time they get home, their empire will have either fallen or forgotten them. And the last argument, minor heat stress on the hull. The needle gun needs recalibration. We fired 37 rounds, hit 37 targets. Chen is already working on it. Admiral Okonkwo leaned back. You let them live. Yes, Mum. The council wanted a message sent. They wanted the Dominion to fear us. Vance folded her arms. Fear is easy. Fear fades. For 1,000 years of slow, quiet survival while watching their food run out and their air scrubbers fail. That's not fear. That's a lesson. They will spend generations telling stories about the human ship that didn't kill them. And every Dominion captain who hears those stories will think twice before coming near human space. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. You always were my most dangerous captain, Elena. Not because you can destroy things. Because you know exactly when not to. Vance returned the smile, but there was no warmth in it. Only the certainty of someone who had seen the dark and chosen to live in it, so others did not have to. The last argument will be ready to deploy again in 48 hours, Vance said. In case they didn't learn the lesson, Admiral Okonkwo nodded. They won't, but that's fine. We have more ships, and we have more patience. Far away, drifting through the black, the crew of the Indomitable Wrath began to understand what human mercy meant. Their food synthesizers worked, but the raw material tanks would run dry in 2 years. Their water recyclers functioned, but filters would need replacement in 5. Their power core would last a century, but after that, it would be cold and dark. They had for 1,000 years to travel. They would be dead in 50. High Admiral Vosk sat alone in his quarters, staring at a single piece of data he had retrieved from the battle. The human ship's registry details. At the bottom, below the captain's name and the ship's class, there was a note in small, almost humble letters. The last argument, UNSC, we come not to conquer, but to ensure that no one else does either. If you see this ship, you have made a mistake. Turn back. We will only warn you once. Voss closed his eyes. For the first time in his long life, he prayed to the dark void that he would never see that gray hull again. But somewhere, in the depths of the Perseus Veil, the last argument was already charging its engines. Because in a galaxy full of empires and conquerors, somebody had to be the one to say no. And humans were very, very good at saying no.